What's up, YouTube? We're back with another week of our gaming podcast, episode number 22. It's insane. Thank you to our 40 subscribers. We're steadily growing, and we're really excited to see our progress. This week, we're going to talk about upcoming games that we're excited for. We're going to talk about our passions with collecting and some challenges in the current marketscape. And then we're going to talk about what we've been playing with games this week. So let's get into it. The game that I'm most excited about is coming out very soon, but they didn't release any more gameplay. They just show the trailer, which is Outriders World Slayer. They just ran the trailer and they're like, yep, I mean, it's coming out here at the end of the month. And so
do you think that's good or bad? Do you think that's hey, they've been steadily releasing updates and gameplay stuff on their own. So I wonder if they just didn't want to buy a big chunk of marketing time to showcase everything. And so they're just yeah, we'll definitely be a part of it. We'll show the trailer, make sure people get that hearing the name. But we've already showed a bunch of this stuff and it's coming out probably the soonest. And so they just probably didn't feel the need to show any extra gameplay. And they don't want to. There's one of those things where Destiny always I think did a bad job of how much do you reveal and how much do you leave up to the players to find out, right? And so they've already kind of revealed some of their systems that they're gonna be introducing, and I'd rather just kind of leave it at that. I don't want any more story indications, and I just want to jump into it and start playing. Yeah, I think coming out in 11. It's on the 30th, right? Yeah, coming out in 11 days. I think them just getting, the name fresh in everyone's head because they announced it a couple of months ago. And but like you said, they've been releasing a certain trailers, update trailers, all that. But there's, some of those or movies. I think about movies a lot. Either a horror movie or a comedy, and you're wait, you watch the movie, and you're all the funny parts were in the in the trailer. So
yep. And it's funny that Marvel specifically shoots extra scenes to just make up a trailer that's along the same lines, action wise, but none of that or most of that isn't in the movie. And so it really did throw people off to get people hyped, but not give anything away, which I think is great.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I forgot about the game, and I'm actually glad that you brought it up because like I told you yesterday, I haven't watched all the Xbox and Bethesda show, and then the Summer Games. I haven't watched all of it. There's a lot coming out, and a lot of them have already been announced. Some are surprises, but there's so many games coming out right now that it's hard to really keep track. I was watching them, I'm oh, wish list. Oh shit, no, that's day one Game Pass. Now let's talk about that. How many of these games are on day one Game Pass?
A lot of them.
It's insane.
I feel Microsoft has been buying studios for a while, and they've pretty much been silent. And a lot of them still are silent about what they're working on, right? They have over 20 some studios that Microsoft owns, and they're all working on projects, but we only have a handful of them announced. And so I feel with COVID, it pushed everything back even further, even though, already past the Xbox One generation. And now they're all getting kind of starting to get hit in this window of, yeah, they can start pumping them out. And they're all coming to Game Pass, or most of them are.
This is such a fun...
It's great to be a Games Pass subscriber, I'll tell you that much.
It is so funny because everyone who follows gaming knows when the Xbox One came out, everyone's Microsoft, what are you doing? But their work is paying off. Other studios are following in their footsteps.
They're leading the way in a lot of ways.
Well, look what Sony's doing with PlayStation Plus. You got all these different
I mean, even like you look at Epic Games, Steam's even doing it now too. Free games, this and that, trying to get you on their platform. That stuff never used to exist. I feel like Game Pass is really, really paving the way, and it's just such a cool success story because I owned a PlayStation back in college, but I've always been an Xbox guy. You've always been an Xbox fanboy. I had my ups and downs with them, especially when I started PC gaming more. But man, now if you got a PC, if you got an Xbox, if you have any way to stream, you can have a freaking iPad, a phone, and they're just killing it. So it's super exciting to see. And I mean, these aren't trash games coming to Xbox Game Pass. These are AAA. These are, amazing indie games.
Yeah,
it's
just a couple of them are definitely worth the price of admission, worth your $120 a year, like no problem.
And you don't even need to do that. You could do like, hey, I know this month there's 2 or 3 games coming out that I want. I'm going to pay $15, play those games for a month. Or, if you get back into Game Pass, they have the $1 for the first month thing. You can pay $1 and play all these great games for a month and then just cancel your subscription. Most people won't, but if you really want to be a person to try it out, it's just...
Yeah, for $1, there's really... I mean, it's kind of like those like free month Xbox Live subscriptions that they used to give away in the Xbox generation, and everybody would like stock up on all the cards and stuff. But there's like such good value there, especially just to like try it out. Like, hey, wait for a couple of these games that you're looking forward to come out, and then subscribe for a month or two for $1. Or usually, I don't know if they give you it to like 3 months still for like $1 a month or something like that. But
yeah, I think it used to be.
Yeah, like there's some pretty good like deals that they got going around to like get you started, and you can play a lot of games in that time for sure. And then like once you start finding the value of Game Pass and your friends have Game Pass and you can all just jump on the same game and everybody's not all over the place, it's a lot of fun. And you can try out so many more games that you never would have played because you're like, oh, the game looks cool, but I'm not spending the $60 on it to just try it out. I have no idea if I'm going to like it. And there's no risk. Now I've downloaded way more games than I ever would have bought and just like tried them out and fallen in love with ones that I did not think I would have liked.
Yeah, I used to never be really into indie games. I always thought they were cool, but I never wanted to spend the 10, 20, all the way up to 60 on that. But I mean, what I do now is I'll sit there and I'll just browse on my phone before bed sometimes when I'm not on my Steam Deck, of course. But I'll sit there and I'll be like, oh, okay, and I'll play it on my phone on touch and be like, oh, this game would be really sick on controller, or the just the accessibility nowadays. I mean, you even got Razer making their really awesome handheld gaming
which
game
I have
pad.
a bone to pick about that is they make awesome ones, but they do not fit my mega size phone. I can't fit them in, and if there's ones I do, I have to take the whole case off, and I have to like get it in and like really kind of wrench on it to like get it in, and it's just like, this isn't convenient, this isn't easy. And if I had a regular size phone, man, I'd be buying one of those things and slapping it on all the time.
It seems like someone's overcompensating.
Why wouldn't you? Okay, so a gamepad, wouldn't you make it to fit the biggest screen phone available, and then maybe like a couple points of an inch to fit any future games, because people who like gaming want to watch it on a bigger screen than at like a tiny little like regular size iPhone screen. No, right. Like if you want the like a Switch like experience, you want a 6 or 7 inch screen.
What phone is that?
This is the Galaxy Note 20 Ultra.
Okay, I need a new phone. So I was just talking to Heather about that today because I got the S9 Plus still. So I think I've had it for like 4 or 5 years. But no, that's a good point. But yeah, it's insane, man. And on the flip side, I still can't get a PlayStation 5. I've still been kind of looking, but I said this a few months ago. Well, actually about a year ago when I forgot when Sony bought that company that they strictly do PC ports.
Yes,
dude, look what we got. Look what we got coming. Okay, so we already got God of War.
God of War.
We already got the last Days Gone. The Uncharted trilogy is coming out soon. It's already on PlayStation 5, but they're releasing that. You got The Last of Us 1 and 2 coming out. You got SpiderMan coming out.
Dude, I am so excited. So the funny thing is, like, I bought a PlayStation 4 Pro to play what's the game that you just finished up playing a couple months ago that was a PlayStation exclusive that came to PC?
Oh, Horizon. Oh yeah, Horizon Zero Dawn.
So I bought it for Horizon Zero Dawn and then Spider-Man, and I just like never got into Spider-Man because I knew it could be better. With like, I've got this like amazing PC sitting next to me, and like the Horizon Zero Dawn looked great on the PS4 Pro, but Spider-Man was one of those games where it could have looked better on a like way better on a PC, and so I was just like, I'm just not going to deal with the like 30 FPS or the lower like non 4K resolution type stuff, and now that it's coming to PC, like I've only heard just amazing things about that game. It's about a character we love. It's probably just like it's going to go down as one of the greatest superhero video games ever made.
Yeah, and when you're looking at the style of game it is, you're webbing across town. You want high frame rates for that. You want a very fast SSD. I'm sure it runs great on the PlayStation 5, but I can't get one.
Yeah, they said it runs incredible on the PS5. Yeah, exactly. Like I would have already bought a PS5, and I've already bought it and been playing it on PS5. But the fact that you just can't get one for the price.
I actually found an Xbox Series X on the Best Buy site today without like getting a drop or anything, and I'm like, well, I don't need that because I have an Xbox One X,
and you have a PC,
and I have a PC. So with
pretty much all first party games coming right to PC, and with PC Game Pass getting better and better, and almost on par with Xbox Game Pass. Like like if there's a game that comes out, you still have your Xbox One X,
right? So
you can enjoy it on there, no problem.
Yeah, I think I've only run like 2 or 3 games that were only on console, but I'm actually, me and Heather have been looking for getting a new cabinet for under our TV, because how I got that free floating one that I just got my router on. We're looking at getting another one so I can have my Switch, I can have my Xbox, and then I can have my I'm gonna get a Steam Deck USB-C dock, so then I can have that. Whoa, I almost knocked my light over. But then too, I just picked this up. Well, actually, we both picked it up. Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is now on Steam as of 2 days ago. So
that's right.
It's funny because me and Dan both actually bought it on the Epic Game Sale. They had a huge sale. Games were like, that game was like 30% off, and then you got 25% off on top of that. So it was only like $37, and I bought it on the 6th or the 15th, and then it launched on the 16th on Steam, and it was verified on the deck, and I'm like, son of a bitch. But I returned it on the Epic Store and just got money into my wallet on there, and then started playing it. And boy, I'm gonna tell you right now, there's little stutter issues, but the game in general, the stutters did not take away from my experience, and it looks so beautiful. I'm running on my 2K monitor. I'm not running on my 4K monitor, but I'm running on 2K, and I capped it at 60 because in my opinion, there's really not a huge need to go over 60 in that. I got about 2.5 hours in, and man, I've wanted to play this game since it came out.
I know,
because I tried to play the original Final Fantasy, but 7, but I feel like there's a lot of nostalgia glasses with stuff like that, and we've talked about this before. It was too crunchy for me, and I'm like, I don't know the characters enough to want to go back and play this. And I booted up on my PC yesterday and just got lost in it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So I did the exact same thing. You messaged me, and I'd kind of seen some of the Epic sale stuff and saw it on there, but I've forgot about the 25% off coupon. And then when you mentioned that, I was like, oh yeah. And so I went on and bought that, and I also bought Anno 1800, which is kind of like a Age of Empires civilization style game.
Okay. Oh, I actually saw that was on the Xbox showcase, wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, it was. I just saw that today, actually.
And so I've heard a lot of people like have really gotten into that game. It's kind of like a city managing, like you're like top down and you're trying to build everything out and manage all these kind of different things. And so I do really love Civ, and people have really liked that game. So I've had my eye on it for a while, and it was like $20, and then with the 25% off, I was like, okay, I'll get that, and then it ended up being just under 60 for everything together. And then it comes to Steam like the next day after I bought everything, and I was like,
I felt bad, but did you refund it?
I did.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes straight to your wallet. I could have called customer support and got it back on my credit card, but I know eventually there's gonna be an Epic exclusive that.
Yeah, I feel like I feel bad for Epic because it's going to be getting like real tough to buy things on the Epic Store now that I own a Steam Deck, and obviously that's what Steam's like plan is.
Yeah.
To beat out some of these other like PC platforms like Epic, is they're like, hey, we're going to release this great console, lose money on it, but people are going to want to be able to play their games on the deck.
I just spent dude. Yeah, I spent $13 more to get it on Steam because it was $50 on Steam, which was on sale. It's a $70 game, but I was willing to spend more money. And I look back at how many games are on GamePass too that I bought on Steam, like Weird West. I bought on Steam because I wanted to play on my Steam Deck, but you can't knock them for having a good idea.
I feel like you don't have an SD card in your Steam Deck, do you? I think you should get one and put Windows on it.
I could.
For Game Pass.
Yeah. Dude, I already got so many games, though. I don't know.
But, like, I mean, like, games like Tunic and stuff that are perfect for the Steam Deck, like, do you really want to spend $30, like, full price on Steam when you can just, like, download that one and have a bunch of fun with it on Game Pass for free? Like, knowing that you could just sit down at your PC and play it for free, but you want to play it on the deck.
Yeah.
Like it's one of those things where it's like, I don't really want to spend the $30 just to play it not on my PC sitting down.
Would you get a terabyte?
I mean, you can get a 512 gig for like $60.
That's really not bad.
No, yeah. They've come down so far. And then you can get like a 256 for like 30 or 35. Like,
that might be worth it.
You can put a lot of games on that.
Is it easy to switch over?
Oh, it's so easy. So I struggled with it, and it all came down to I was trying to use an older SD card, and it just didn't like it. I don't know. Like, I thought it was like going to be fast enough. I think I probably had bought it for the Switch at one point in time.
Yeah.
It was a G-Skill 128 gig, and it had like some of the like faster speed ratings, not like the fastest, but I was like, hey, this is perfect. Like, I bought it for the Switch. Then I ended up getting a bigger one for a 400 gig one for the Switch anyways. So I was like, this will be perfect just to like, I want to test out Windows on it. And it would not install, and it would take forever to like write Windows to the thing. And I was having I was getting my butt kicked for like 3 hours trying to get it on there. And I was like, fine, I'll just like won't do it. And I would have used the other one that I bought, but I already loaded it up with games from Steam OS. And I didn't want to wipe everything to put it on there. Oh yeah, it works. And then go wipe it again and put all my Steam games back on there. So I ended up just buying a 256 for like $30. And then half hour. And all it is you do a couple clicks and then you just wait. And then it's good. It's super easy. And then you can choose to boot to the SD card or back into Steam. You don't have to like lose everything or redo anything. You know, you're still running it stock. You can just choose to boot to the SD card into Windows.
Just when you start it, it gives you the option.
You can hold down
the power and volume down key, and it'll give you like a boot menu, like your BIOS and your computer.
Really
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, maybe when you come over,
you can
Tuesday.
choose what you want to like boot into. Otherwise, you can just pop out the SD card, and it'll just auto boot back into Steam. It's great.
Maybe when I go get I still got to get a dock, so maybe when I do that, I'll just buy a 500 gig or something.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially when you're looking at some of those smaller games, 500. Like how big was Windows on that?
It's not very big, like 30 gigs or so. It takes up
so
20, 30 gigs. Yeah, so you'd still have a ton of space. I mean, if you're going to put something like Destiny on there, 80 gigs is going to take up a decent chunk of it. But then all the games you'd put on there from GamePass is like pretty, not, next to nothing, unless you're going to put like Forza Horizon, which is like 100 gigs.
Right. Well, and dude, let's be honest. I've been living on 250 gigs on my SSD for a long time. So, yeah, I'm excited. Dan's coming over on Tuesday, and we're finally putting in my two M.2s. So I'll have 2 terabytes of M.2 970 Samsung. So I'm excited about that. But
hell yeah.
Yeah, other games. So I was a little disappointed. Redfall didn't impress me. I don't know if you watched that. Know what I was talking about? It's a co-op.
I did, but it's not ringing my bell right now.
Yeah, so it's a Bethesda game. It's a co-op. Not like Champion, but I guess kind of Champion. Like everyone has their own thing. But it's
I guess I have seen some stuff on it. The trailers the cinematic trailers look fun, but it sounded like another like vampire, dark, not super horror type thing. And I was like, it's just not my style, a game or something I'm interested in.
I got excited before Xbox did their showcase because it was another co-op game that we could play. Kind of looter shooter.
The co-op part, like if we had you and me and maybe one other person, or is like, I want to play like Redfall. I was like, I'll group up and do that. And if it was a game, is it Game Pass game?
Yeah. It didn't impress me though. Like,
I'd check it out.
They it just kind of let me down because the voice in it too was it just seemed kind of cheesy to me. I guess I don't know, but
I feel like that's kind of what it's going for.
It is. But I was kind of, in my opinion, if you're going to go vampires and stuff, you want to be a little darker, right? Not like humor. But so that was kind of a downfall. Did you have any games that were showcased that let you down?
That let me down. Well, I mean, what sucked was even especially at the Summer Game Fest, I was like really hyped. There was a bunch of games. It's like horror themed this year. And I am not at all a horror person. Everything was dark and mysterious and ghosts, goblins, zombies, vampires. And it's like not me unless it like really stands out in the game. So yeah, there wasn't kind of everything was like, it looks cool. I'm like happy for them. I'm glad there's another game coming out. They finally get to push it out. Great. And it's not my cup of tea.
Right.
So yeah, I feel like Summer Game Fest for me, it was like, it felt a little bit of a letdown in general. There wasn't like a big thing that I was like, oh yeah, I'm super excited from Summer Games Fest. I felt like the Xbox Bethesda showcase was a lot stronger, although some of their games were still horror survival like type themed. And I was like, okay, but they just had so many, they're all releasing within a year. So that's what one of the big like points that Phil Spencer made is like these games are coming out in the next 12 months.
Dude, I love that. I love that they do that because some of these games you're like, that's badass. I want to watch it or I want to play it. And then 2024, you're like, I'm going to forget about it by then, or it's going to get stuck in development hell.
Correct. And when they announce them that early, I want to forget about them because I don't even want to get hyped when it's that far away.
Right.
Because then it's an Anthem situation, right? Like that game got, so hyped. It looked awesome. And then you're waiting
and waiting. Same with Cyberpunk, and you're waiting, and it gets delayed, and you're like, oh, I'm glad it got delayed because I just want it to be a really good game. But you're waiting, even longer, and I don't want that. I just want them to, 6-month window. Hey, announce it. It's coming out in the next 6 months.
Yeah.
Right. Because they pretty much, you get it 6 months. If you can get it to 6 months, you pretty much know what you can get done in 6 months, and you're pretty much can be guaranteed that it'll do that.
Right. Yeah. Or, if they're, I love when Nintendo's known for this, like on the Nintendo shop today. Like, I love that.
Dude, that gets me so hyped.
But even like in a month, like, hey, this game's coming out in a month, and you're like, oh, this is, you still got that excitement.
I think you have a good game when you can just shadow drop it and not announce anything, right? Like, what's the battle royale from EA? Apex. Like, they're just like, they just knew they struck gold. They knew what they had. They brought all these streamers in and NDA'd the crap out of them and said, you cannot talk about this until the day it launches. Like, the balls to do that.
Well, they had Respawn was in charge.
Oh, Respawn is a golden goose for EA right now.
It's about the only thing.
The only thing pumping out. Exactly.
Now,
the only thing that can launch Star Wars games. The only thing that can launch successful FPSs. Like,
I cannot wait. Jedi Fallen Order 2.
Dude.
Survivor.
Yes.
It's going to be great.
Yes.
I think we talked about that last podcast. It's kind of old news, but yeah. So you got anything else to talk about upcoming games? Anything you wanted to hit?
So Game Pass, another big benefit. This partially will excite you is Xbox is partnering up with Riot Games.
Yep, I saw that.
PC Game Pass is you're going to get all the champions of all of Riot's games. So when you load up Valorant and you got Game Pass, you just get all the champions unlocked.
That's huge.
You're not much of a League of Legends guy, but you get all the champions unlocked, and it's like, dude, that's a lot of value. I know that's pretty much like Riot's gameplay grind. Not so much their moneymaker, but because you get their skins are their moneymaker.
Okay.
But you get in-game currency, right? And so they want you to keep playing the game to earn enough in-game currency to buy the next champion that you want to play. And if you buy the wrong champion or a champion you think you're going to like, and then you don't like how it plays, like it's kind of like a big disappointment, and like you spent so much time saving up all your in-game currency to get this next champion. Now, for a little while early on, they did use that as their moneymaker. They made sure that like they were trying to pump out champions so that you couldn't get enough in-game currency fast enough to get each champion.
Bless you.
So that either you would have to buy it or like just keep playing the game a ton more. But still, like they kind of slowed that down, that cadence, and they're like, this isn't really what we want to do, and it's not like the best for the players, and then they have to balance tune everything so much, and so they kind of stopped pumping out champions to entice you to purchase more and more. But that's really cool. Just really good value. There's so many champions in League and in Valorant and in all of like Riot Games stuff that partnership is huge.
So I was looking for Rune King.
Oh,
but I'm wondering
they didn't mention Rune King.
Did a different developer make Rune King?
And then they just published it and used the IP?
Yeah. I want to know that because when I saw that, I'm like, oh, because I bought that game and it didn't run.
So you returned it?
Yeah, I returned it. So, which was a known issue. They straight up said, they're like, hey, there's an issue with AMD cards and blah, blah, blah. So none of the cutscenes will play, which sucked when you're dealing with a story-driven game.
I know. I got that one for the Switch. And so here's my dilemma with having the OLED Switch is some of those like games that you don't care about the FPS and like the graphics aren't like that crazy intensive in the game anyways. You want the colors to like pop out at you. And that's like such a colorful game that I'd rather play it on the Switch because of how the colors are like interact and how good the OLED screen looks. And now the Steam Deck like screen looks good, but it's not OLED good.
Right. See, and then for me, it's the opposite. I don't want stuff on my Switch because if I have the ability to get an achievement or some form of tracking, that's just me. It's annoying. Sure. I wish I didn't give a shit. For a while, I didn't care, but then some of these like super big games, I'm like, why am I grinding for every in-game achievement when no one knows I did it? You know what I mean? Like,
there's definitely something like you want to flex, you want to be able to show your hour. Like, for me in Destiny, especially that like hours played is like a big flex, right? You're like, I'm a freaking grinder. Right. And like when your gameplay gets split up between Steam and Xbox and everything else, my Steam friends are like, dude, you barely played this game.
Right.
Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah,
like,
go look at my Xbox.
Played 4,000 hours of Destiny. Like, get out of here. Which we'll talk about that later. What Destiny's doing right now. But
oh god.
There's a new Forza Motorsports, not Horizon, coming out. That's more just supposed to be it's supposed to be a just graphic showcase of a game. And I'm very excited about that, just to check it out. It's Game Pass, so I don't have to buy it, but I have bought a lot of the Forza Motorsport games, but they take a couple years to release them. They're not like an every year game that they kind of pump out. And then Starfield looked great.
Yes.
I had almost zero expectations for Starfield. Everybody was hyped because they announced they did like a logo reveal. They're like, oh, Bethesda's making Starfield. I'm like, what's the game even about? I've got no idea. So I was just like, I hope it's good, but I'm not going to put any stock in it. And then they showed off gameplay and I was like, yes, this is what I want. I feel like.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Nope. I'm still cautious. I'm still so cautious.
Oh, for sure. Like I guarantee it's going to be a Bethesda launch. It's going to be buggy. It's not going to run like super smooth. There's going to be a whole bunch of funny things. Like they're coming hot off the release of, not really hot, but their last release is Fallout 76, which was just the absolute most buggy mess I think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
There's no way that this runs good at launch. But the great news is like, I'm not going to get pissed because it's on Game Pass. I'll download it. If it's working good for me, I'll be happy. But if it's too buggy, I'll just like put it down and wait.
Right.
But it looks like a lot of fun.
The Bethesda game bugginess is okay to an extent. Like Fallout 76 was a whole new level of
as long as it doesn't get to that level.
Right.
Yes.
But like you look at a lot of the Elder Scrolls, because I've been playing Elder Scrolls since I was in middle school. Started with Morrowind, loved Oblivion, loved Skyrim. Like I knew I was a real OG back in the day because people would be like, oh my God, I love Skyrim. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a huge Elder Scrolls player or fan too. And they're like, no, Skyrim. And I'm like, Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. Like people didn't get it because it wasn't popular then.
When's Skyrim 2 coming out?
Right.
And you're just like,
yeah, you idiots. But no, like the bugginess, I'm okay with it. Like it's funny as long as it's not game breaking, man. Like
100%.
There's so many memes of like Oblivion NPCs. Have you ever seen those on the internet where it's like Skooma Addict comes up to you and it's some like homeless dude on crack and you're like but yeah, I'm rooting for Bethesda. Fallout 76 was trash, but
we've talked about that where they didn't have any games coming out for 5 years and they're like, we need a live service game just to bring in money. So we need to pump something out out the door just to like get some money to keep our studios open. And that's why they eventually sold to Microsoft. It's just because they couldn't they didn't have anything coming out. There was like
there's a ghost. There's a ghost controlling here.
Nothing for years. And so I feel like that's why Fallout 76 got rushed. And thank God Microsoft came in and took over and bought them out. And so they got the time they could afford to delay Starfield as much as they have. So hopefully it's in a playable state. Because some of the performance issues, people are already kind of like taking note. some frame pacing issues.
Dude,
some
I was
animation
gonna say
issues.
on the trailer I noticed some stuttering. I'm like, but then I wasn't sure if it was just me or my internet connection. But now that you say that, I'm like, oh, you can see his head was
everybody
kind of
said
like
that. And everybody said it's like, how is this? This is your trailer, gameplay
Right.
trailer. How is every shot not scrutinized
Perfect.
and made perfect, right? Yeah, like why are you not running it on $20,000 hardware
Right.
just to make sure it looks like smooth as could be? But I think that kind of like also helps start this conversation and tempers people's expectations. Like this is a massive game. They can't get everything running perfectly. It probably wouldn't be out for the next 10 years. And you can see that with Star Citizen. It's still in alpha.
Yeah.
And so I think this is going to be, that was my next point about Starfield, is this is going to be a great like entry point into that kind of game. I think it's definitely not exactly like No Man's Sky or Everspace or what was the game I just mentioned?
Star Citizen.
Star Citizen. It's not exactly like those games, but it's going to be close enough with a stronger driven story that's going to be compelling and like a good gameplay loop. And the shipbuilding in it, like that got me hyped, and the ship flying and all that kind of stuff, as well as like the combat, I thought looked great. I'm super excited. ACG did a video you'll have to check out this week talking about how everyone's comparing this game to No Man's Sky, but it's really, they're not like really in the same class of game. No Man's Sky is completely procedurally generated. Every planet is. This one has 1,000 planets with what's probably going to be like curated planets.
Right.
Obviously, they're not going to curate all of them or like develop handcraft all of them, but they're going to curate some of them and make sure there's like set pieces and things for the story to hit on specific planets.
You have to when it's a story driven game. I like procedurally generated stuff, but I feel like you can have a good story, but it has to be in the background. You know, you can't have story interactions on something that you don't know what's going to come up. You know, so if it's a good story, I'm gonna be excited.
Yeah, exactly. And so yeah, I was like, I came in kind of with no expectations, but like that trailer gameplay stuff like blew me away for what to expect. And I'm pretty pumped for that game now. Definitely, I'm definitely really interested.
Yeah, so am I. But like I said, I'm going in cautious. I'm hoping for the best, because with Elder Scrolls games, or Bethesda games like this in the same genre, if we look back at the games, like, let's be honest, the combat's not good, right?
Not great. It's like passable, right?
Yeah. It's okay. It's but you're literally just sitting there like that's why.
But that's not why you play the game,
right? That's why everyone jokes like, oh, just another stealth archer build, because it's easier than walking up and just slapping the shit out of people with your sword. And I think them adding guns into this fantasy world is going to make it better. I'm not a huge science fiction guy, but just looking at it, I think I will enjoy this. I'm hoping, as long as the story is good, man. Because like Outer Worlds, loved it. It was based on the story. It was based on the interaction with the NPCs, what you could control, and that was literally everything. You could go in and you could kill anyone you wanted. So I'm hoping Starfield is like that, but we'll see.
For sure.
Not getting my hopes up. If it sucks,
I'm gonna stay cautious, but that was a lot more than I expected to see, and a lot better than I expected to see it at. So it did give me a couple points. It was this kind of transitions to my next point, that all of the kind of Bethesda Elder Scrolls fanboys are like, okay, this game took how long? And they announced the next Elder Scrolls, but like they haven't even started working on it. So how long is the next Elder Scrolls going to be? And it's like, I knew that game wasn't going to come out for at least 10 years when they announced it. They just did a logo announce.
Yeah, I think they got probably 6 years left.
Yeah,
At least. Because when did they announce it? 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and they haven't
probably
started
more than
it?
that now. Yeah, I mean, they might be doing some like early design work kind of stuff, but I guarantee they haven't they're not in full development swing. Everything has shifted to Starfield,
Right.
to finish Starfield, to get it shipped out the door. So, yeah, I mean, but that's Bethesda's model. They make great games that they can sell for 10 years while they work on the next one.
Now think about this too. The Elder Scrolls lore is so deep. You literally have YouTube channels that all they are there for is to discuss the lore. That adds a whole level of complex, you know,
That they
game
have
development.
yeah, for sure.
So
When you go down to that level of detail and stuff, yeah.
you're gonna piss people off if you don't get it right. And think about how many people have probably left that studio since, Skyrim came out, the last one that came out. So hopefully they got a big notebook with a lot of notes.
Or one guy who's really good at keeping the continuity.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, but that's kind of any good game development is you need at least a few people at the top that says, hey, this is the direction we're going in. And then everybody starts making their stuff. And then that person or, small team is going through and making sure that everybody's work is all leading to the same end goal. Right. And that's why Anthem failed, because nobody knew what they were even making.
Right.
Exactly. So they're like, then it wasn't until they saw the trailer that they were like, oh, this is the game we're making, right? And it's like, dude, you can't. You have to have more direction than that.
100%.
Hopefully at Bethesda they have those people, and then they can keep the game on course.
Yeah. We'll see. If it crashes and burns, it's on Game Pass, so we'll be good.
Exactly. And if it's too buggy at launch, I didn't waste my money, right?
Right.
Like I'm able to play it day one, and then if it's too buggy, I can put it back on the shelf, and it didn't cost me anything because I got a whole bunch of their Game Pass games to play.
Right. Let's roll into our next topic. Unless you got anything else to add?
Nope, that's it.
All right. So first things first, I gotta do a shout out. Tyler York, if you're listening.
That's right.
You were listening. So we're going to start talking about collectibles, right? So I just had a nice big pickup from Tyler. So he actually owns his own business. I don't think I told you. Well, no, I did tell you that. So he owns his own business. He does a lot of junk removal. And he called me and he's like, hey, dude, I just got some video games. I don't know anything about them. I know you collect. Would you be interested in buying them? I'm like, well, hell yeah. And he sends me a picture. And originally I thought it was a 3DS XL. I saw the clamshell. I got all excited. It was just a kind of bad picture, but I did see 3DS games and some old DS games. So I got super excited. Well, he came to my office, and after I was done with work, and I found out it was a DS XL. So I changed the price a little bit, but it got me thinking because prices have been so outrageous because everyone knows what they have nowadays.
Or thinks something. They saw some mint condition one sell for some crazy amount, and they're like, oh, mine's got to be worth insane amounts of money now.
And they're trying to sell it for that price. So it got me thinking, I'm a physical collector. Dan collects too. I just want to talk about how are we going to change our strategies for this market? What do we need to do different? Because you can't really go into a collectible store unless you know exactly what you want. If you really want something for your collection, but you're not. The whole point of collecting for me is to get a lot of stuff off good deals. So the deal I got was phenomenal. York's like, hey, I don't want to take the time to sell this stuff. And I told him flat out, I'm like, dude, if you individually sold all this stuff, you're going to make a lot more money than I'm going to give you right now. But I don't really have a need for this stuff, but I'll collect it regardless. I'll give you a fair price where it's a win-win. So now with that in mind, he's going to start calling me every time he gets video games. And every time he gets PC stuff, he's going to be calling Dan over here.
I was just going to say, hit me up, because I love, like, as long as it's recent enough, like, I can slap a new graphics card in the thing and sell, like, a budget gaming PC, because a lot of the CPUs going back pretty much 12 years now, to 2012, if a CPU released then, it's a decent enough platform for me to put a new graphics card in, a lower end, like medium to low end one that can play 1080p or 2K at 60 FPS, no problem, right? Like, you only need the higher end CPUs if you're trying to push like 100 plus FPS. And so, a lot of good value there. And I can build some really great PCs for $300-400, and I haven't been able to for the past couple of years because of COVID and everything, and the graphics card shortage driving all the prices up. And it has sucked, because it's one of my like hobbies that I just liked doing. I don't think I made any really money off of it, but it's just fun building the PC for as cheap as I can build it, as with the most performance that I can get out of it. And then seeing some, like, the joy on somebody's face when, like, dude, I just picked up a computer for $350 for the price of a console, and I can outperform what consoles can do at 60 to 100 FPS, no problem. And it's a lot of fun, and they can do so much more with it. It becomes like a family computer, and the people that are usually in the market for these budget PCs, that's what it's going to be. They can only afford one computer for the household, and they want to be able to do some gaming on it. And so, being able to just like see how happy people are with a great deal, and I might make $10 or $20 or lose $10 or $20.
Right.
It's just like, it's the joy of building it, joy of like seeing that finished build, how cool I can make it, and see how, like, people's interest and enjoyment out of it is a lot of fun. And I just haven't been able to do that. I have one PC that I'm waiting on a CPU for right now, and it'll be my first one in probably 3 years.
Hobbies are not cheap, unfortunately. It's, even look at collecting. A lot of the times I'll buy something to sell, and I'm like, well, maybe I'll just keep it, And I actually sat down with Heather today, and I'm like, hey, I want to keep these. I'm like, I kind of want to keep this other stuff. But she's like, will you ever play it? I'm like, well, no. And she's like, well, do you like it to look at? I'm like, well, no. Well, Tyler, maybe you should sell it. Well, so I posted some stuff on eBay, but
yeah. Why are you so logical?
I know, right? But yeah, so I ended up getting 7 DS games from Tyler, a DS XL, which was in really, really good shape for a console being, I can't remember what it come out in 08, something like that. Just minor scratches on the bottom screen, nothing that you can even tell when it's on.
And that's going to be because of the touchscreen stuff that people are like, using it. And so that's normal. And with the screen kind of on and bright, you really don't even
tell.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got that. And then six 3DS games, something like that. But I paid $60 for it. And those are the type of deals that I need, right? Because, if that console alone is going to be like $80. And I told Tyler flat out, I'm like, look, I don't need this, but if you'll accept a good deal, I will take it off your hands. You don't have to do the legwork to try to figure out how to sell it and this and that. And then Dan ended up getting five fans for case fans. Holy cow, that was really hard to say. For $5 a pop. It was easy. Tyler just made, extra money. It was a win-win-win all across the board. So,
and those are going to go in the build that I'm building to sell. So it's like perfect.
Yeah, don't let me forget to give those to you on Tuesday when you come over. But
now, are you planning on selling the DSXL too, or are you going to keep that?
I'm going to keep that, and I don't know why. Just because it's a console.
Well, I mean, like, so now you have the 2DS,
which plays DS games.
But like the DS XL is a more premium experience of the DS era. And now, does that play Game Boy Advance games still too? Because the DS, they play DS games and Advance games.
I thought the advanced games were wider.
They are, but on the bottom, my DS did. I don't remember when they stopped doing that. On the bottom, there might be a port, like a bigger port. You might have to pull out a plastic piece.
Okay.
To be able to
See,
slide
I haven't
advanced game in.
Dude, that'd be crazy. The reason I'm keeping it is like if one day I ever get into Pokemon.
Yes.
So we're not talking about Pokemon today, though. What we're gonna talk about. I just wanted to, kind of touch base on what are some out of the box ideas we can do to keep collecting. Because, dude, even Goodwill, you go to Goodwill, they're charging $6 a game for like an OG Xbox game. It doesn't make sense. It's not you can buy Xbox One X games for cheaper than that pre-owned at GameStop right now. So like I collect Xbox.
That's the scarcity.
That's what?
You can buy the Xbox One digital game still. And so that physical copy
it's super cheap.
Right, because GameStop is trying to get rid of this. Like they need to entice you to buy the physical copy over the digital one because the digital one's more convenient. It's easier and it's faster. So why would you want to buy the physical one? Well, it's going to be cheaper and you can collect it.
Right.
Well, Goodwill is selling it they know that there's not a digital marketplace for the Xbox.
Yeah.
And the value that you can put Xbox 360 games and OG Xbox games, some of them, into your Xbox One and be able to play them, there's a little bit more sought after now. And then I think the big reason they upped the price was they saw how much those old classic Nintendo games sold for.
Right.
Somebody bought like Super Mario or the original Mario game
3.
for $1 million or $900,000, and they're like, "Oh, we have old games. We should increase the price."
Well, now all they do is a auction. Goodwill has an auction site now, so a lot of the times,
the death of Goodwill, man.
Yeah. So it's
I knew it had to eventually be. It's like, I always thought they get all this stuff donated and they sell it for super cheap, but they don't know what they have on their hands. When is this? When are they going to transition to cataloging everything, putting it online, and selling it to people who know what the value of it is?
Yep.
It was kind of inevitable, and I'm surprised that it lasted this long. But the reason people shopped at Goodwill is so they could get deals on stuff and either resell it or keep it as a collectible and know that. But nobody wants to pay the market value for all this stuff.
If I wanted to do that, I'd go on fucking eBay.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just it's a weird spot for collecting right now, and I've almost kind of shifted to I was on GameStop tonight and I could buy Gears 5 for $3 physical pre-owned, but the problem is you might not get the case. That's always a gamble. So when you order through GameStop, you might not get the case, and I get why they do that. They sell it for cheap, but
and the other thing is do they? I mean, GameStop really has never been too shy about it. They don't even do original cases that come from Microsoft, right? They just have a bunch of cases and they have the sleeves, and it's like, oh, you bought the game? Oh, so let me put the sleeve in some random game case, and so it almost feels less authentic that way.
100%.
Right? It's not the experience that you want. You want the original game that it came in. You want that. You kind of want to know that disc came in that box with the paperwork that nobody ever reads. But for some reason, when you're buying a used game, it makes all the difference.
CIB, baby, complete in box. So I've shifted to current age collecting, and by that I mean Xbox One games, Xbox One X games, and statues, stuff like that, because I can even I'll be on Best Buy, I'll be at Best Buy and I'll see a brand new AAA game for $9 on clearance, something like that, and I would rather buy that because, again, do I want to buy an Xbox One X game because they're super cheap right now? No one's collecting Xbox One games,
right?
They're just not. I am. But in 5-10 years, they're probably going to be worth a lot more money. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, what happens when Microsoft becomes the top dog in games again,
and they don't have to be this like consumer friendly person. They're
Right.
like, yeah, with new console, oh, it's not really that backwards compatible.
Right.
Unless you rebuy them digitally, right? And you've got all these physical games for the Xbox, and now they become more valuable.
Yep. So that's kind of how I've shifted.
Hopefully, Microsoft doesn't do that, but
Right.
like the problem with open companies that are on the stock market is they're legally required to make as much money as they possibly can, and so they can make an excuse when they're not the market share leader that they need to do this to win over consumers and go after consumers like targeted.
Yeah.
But when they're the top dog, it's really hard to say, tell your shareholders, well, we could have made just millions more dollars, but we chose not to be more consumer friendly. They get mad and they sue you. They can legally sue the company for not making as much as they could.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate.
Have you because you're a Pokemon collector, right? You still do cards, or do you kind of shy away from that?
So I got back into cards. A bunch of my friends, Casey and some of our other friends, really got back into it. It's so expensive. And then when I was doing it for fun for a while, and then COVID hit, and a Charizard sold for, how much did it sell for? I don't know if it was $1 million or 300,000. I think a first edition Charizard did, and everyone's like, there's money in Pokemon cards, and they just started buying everything up. And then you just like, all the stores had to take them off the shelves because people were stampeding and trampling people buying Pokemon cards. And like the day they would restock, same things, and so they couldn't sell them physically in stores for a while. Like Target's like, we don't sell them in stores anymore. It's only online.
Yeah, they do that with the PlayStation 5s too. Target still does that.
Yeah, just ridiculous. And it's like, I enjoy, like, it's fun getting these, like, hitting the really high collectible ones. And I've sold one of them that I hit that was worth a lot of money, which was so stupid because it was before COVID. And I was like, well, I don't think Pokemon's getting any more popular than it already is. So I'll just sell it.
Were you wrong?
Oh my! I could have. I'd lost out on like 3 times the money.
Hell yeah!
Because it just in COVID just completely blew up. So I was and I actually hit another card that's worth around $300 during COVID, but I've kind of stopped because I was pumping a lot of money into it. And it's like and then like they kept getting more expensive. You used to be able to get a 36 pack of packs for $95, $85 to $95. You get 36 packs. Great deal. Is better than buying them for $350 in store. You've got a high chance. They guarantee, usually the Pokemon Company guarantees so many rare cards per 36 pack of box, and so you've got like you're going to hit something. It's just how valuable is it going to be?
Right.
And during COVID, they went up to like $150, $180. And now they're they've come down, but they're at 130, 140.
That's crazy,
and it's like,
dude.
That's like what it is buying them $3.50 a pack or $4 a pack. And so it's like, you're not saving any money doing it that way. And it's just like when you're spending that much on just one pack and you don't hit anything, it starts to get pretty expensive, right? And so I've stopped just because of how expensive
it's like gambling, dude.
I mean,
it's not like it is gambling.
It's the original loot box, man.
Well, so are you collecting anything else, or?
So I transitioned to I was buying Pokemon guidebooks.
Okay.
I found a online thrift shop, and I was get $3, $5, $6 a piece. I could get them for. I was like, this is awesome. I would get them. I buy a couple of the same one, whatever I could get. And then it's like almost instantly they like realized they knew what they had, or people started buying them, and either the ones you want were sold out or the price started like going up. And it's just like, oh no, not this too. And I've just always been a Pokemon guidebook person, and more of a guidebook person in general for any like big game. I mean, this was before the internet, right? So you like needed like one of these things if you got confused, and I was not an intelligent gamer back in the day. So I really enjoyed like the guidance that you'd get. I'd get stuck at a part, and I'd get like I do with open world games right now. I get stuck at a part, and I'm like, I don't feel like going back to it and figuring it out, or trying to beat it, and I just give up on it, right? And so the guidebook helped guide me through those stages so I could beat the game. And I always had I'd get a Pokemon game, I'd get the guidebook with it. I always did it. And so there's just a lot of nostalgia and joy, and going back through like the original artwork is so cool to look at. And I found a few other things on there, like I have like two different, the first and second generation, like Find That Pokemon, and it's kind of like a Where's Waldo.
Yeah, I remember that.
It's just of like original artwork Pokemon. I was like, I can't wait to do this with my kids when they're younger. This is perfect. I loved it. I love it. And I got those for $3 a piece on this like thrift shop online website. And so every so often I just like check on there, hoping to hit like a deal on some Pokemon stuff. I looked when I got the Zelda games for the 3DS. I tried looking for those guidebooks or the original guidebooks, and
I looked out on mine, dude. I can't believe I got that.
So
I got it for free.
I've looked of like multiple times, and they're either like more expensive in the game or just as expensive as buying the game. And so it's like, dang, like this sucks. But it'd be really cool to have like one of those OG N64 guidebooks.
Oh yeah.
And but that's like the thing, I guess, like right now you just kind of have to keep checking those cheap places, like wherever you can find them cheap. You just have to keep checking back in. I think the new Goodwill is garage sales.
Yeah.
Because people are trying to get rid of stuff, and they either don't care what they have or they don't know what they have, and they just want it gone. I saw a couple of the like Facebook groups for either Pokemon or other stuff that I'm in. Like people are like, "Hey, I just found this at a garage sale," and it was like a book of like Pokemon cards, old ones in near mint condition, and they got the whole binder for $20.
Oh yeah.
I was like, damn.
See,
dude,
that is where collecting gets so fun. Like the biggest game I hit was that what game was it called? Got it at Goodwill for $2 back before they jumped the price.
Mm-hmm.
It was a $70 game. It was a PlayStation 2 game, sealed. A $70 game. Remember I called you? I'm like,
yeah.
Dude.
I forgot that it was sealed.
Yeah, so that's where this gets fun. And what I was thinking, I talked to York about it, but he's really into collecting wrestling memorabilia.
Oh, nice.
So he, we want, there's collectible stores, a couple hours away, and we're like, we need to go. So, and then try to like map out and hit thrift stores or pawn shops.
Thrift stores, and those are going to be your, like, obviously you're just looking, needle in a haystack, trying to find the diamond in the rough there, that the pawn shops or thrift stores don't know what they have. But go to the problem with collectible stores is they know what they got.
Right, no, but it still would be fun
sucks,
to go.
But it's so much fun just to look at everything and maybe get that, splurge and get that one piece that you either love or has the nostalgia that you're looking for. We do that with some of the Pokemon cards. We'd go to like Kryptonite Collectibles in Janesville, and just to like see all the different cards they have out laid out there. You'd be like, oh, I remember that card. I like that card a lot. Oh, is it worth the money? Maybe, and
I mean, it's even
it's fun.
Even like my Elden Ring Collector's Edition, I obviously paid market price for that because I got it brand new, but that's something I'll always cherish. So
for sure,
I want to just go look, and I think it'd be really cool to just kind of map it out, hit stores on the way there, there's this collectible store in Fond du Lac that York, it's Appleton. It's Appleton. Go there. Make a day out of it. So, and then
get a meetup going.
Well, I was thinking we could vlog it. That'd be a lot of
let's
fun.
go.
Be a good episode idea. And New York's all about it. I'm guessing Austin would be all about it too. He's a big collector. Like we all collect different things. Austin collects vinyls, So video game vinyls.
Oh,
Like
nice.
he loves listening to, his favorite video game stuff in the house, and then, it's really interesting. We're all completely different. So
Oh, I'm sure I could get Muskie to come with us too.
oh yeah, I forgot
He loves sports stuff, Pokemon stuff,
Mm-hmm.
video game stuff.
Nerds.
He's into. You ain't no nerd.
Right. Yeah, but speaking of, I just want to give a shout out to Heather. So she made us for Father's Day. We got merch.
Let's go.
Oh, it's backwards. It's backwards in the cam, but still, you get the point. So she's got shirts for you. So she got a shirt for Austin. She got a shirt for York. Pretty much anyone who's really kind of supported us or been on. So she doesn't know Casey. I'm sorry, Casey. You don't get a shirt until you're on the podcast. But
Did she tell you my involvement in it?
yeah, she did, by the way. I'm like, how'd you get Dan's number? Which I don't care, obviously. But she's like, I went in your phone one night, and then I'm like, oh, okay. And then she's like, last night, I'm like, yeah, send Dan that picture. And she's like, what's his number? I'm like, you don't have his number? And she's like, well, I didn't want to save it. And then you'd be like, why are you texting
That'd be
Dan?
weird.
Right. She's like, why are you texting? And she saved it last night, but she's like, I didn't want you to like, because our kids use the phone for YouTube video and all, or YouTube kids all the time. She's like, I didn't want to see, or you to see Dan's number in there and be like, how do you have Dan's number? It's weird. What's going on here? But no, I appreciate the help on that, dude. These are awesome. I'm excited.
Yeah, she told me, she's like, I really wanted to surprise you guys, but like I couldn't get I couldn't get the logo, and I need a file, and she had been going through a whole thing with the shirt company to get trying and get the logo and some other stuff to work. And so I was like, yeah, I can get you the actual file.
Yeah.
That'll work. And dude, it looks like it turned out just absolutely great.
Yeah, they turned out you got these, and then you got the Stay Nerdy in blue, and then All Things Nerd in orange. So yeah, it was a surprise. I was not expecting that. Because she's like,
when she said that, I was like, this is gonna be so good. I can't wait.
Yeah, I was so excited because I wasn't expecting it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
That was the last thing I would think of getting for Father's Day. And last night she's like, should I give you the gift? Your gift? I'm like, yeah, give me my gift. And she's like, well, maybe we should wait for the girls. I'm like, no, give me my gift. So then she brings this box in, and then I see their shirts. I'm like, oh, she must have got me some gaming shirts. And I open up and I see True Nerds logo. I'm like, oh my God. It's just so cool having a spouse supporting like that, especially from where we started. Because she was not happy about video games when we first started our relationship.
Neither was mine.
Which our fault, because life video game balance is a thing, but you go from being a bachelor to playing
playing all as much as you want all the time.
Making those sacrifices.
It feels so good to have a spouse that supports you. And anybody who's listening who is either dating somebody or going through some stuff, I've pretty much every guy who plays video games goes through some level of either refiguring out their own life, work, video game balance, and some level of understanding with their significant other of how important gaming is. It's your outlet. It's how you reconnect with your friends. And once they kind of understand that aspect of it, and as long as you can manage it appropriately,
which I was not, I'll be honest.
And I would definitely do the same. And you carve out some time, and you get some time to yourself, and they get some time to yourself, and keeping everything in balance definitely is the way to go. And too many times when you start a new relationship, you kind of get sucked onto each other, and you lose some of the things that you once did, or your old hobbies, or they kind of fall away, and you're nope, it's important to keep those things doing them for yourself and by yourself, because that's where your happiness is going to be, is you have to be happy to support the other person and make them happy. They can't be the source of your happiness, right? And so the fact that, you know, once you can, you know, talk and discuss, and they can understand that, you know, this is your outlet, this is your way to connect to your friends and relax after a hard day, and as long as you do it in an appropriate timeline that works for you and her and your life, it's a very healthy outlet for sure.
It's a balancing act, man, because like our fights looking back were so cringy to me because of like, what do you mean I can't play from 5 p.m. until 2 in the morning? I'm like, what's the problem? I watched TV with you for an hour. I didn't get it. Right. And then I think last year was when it really changed, because I had this conversation with you. I'm like, dude, I finally, and this took years. We've been married for 6 years. And it honestly took like 4 years of balancing act, because she'd give me a little bit and I would take too much, or, you know, I'd ask for too much, or she wouldn't give me enough. Like it was just a constant trying to figure it out. Like, you know, we had young infants and I always prioritize their time, but then trying to balance time with my kids, time with my wife, and then still playing video games. Because for a while there, we'd get in such bad fights, I just wouldn't play. I just stopped playing, and that wasn't good for me, right? Like, it's my only hobby. I don't hunt, I don't fish, I don't do any of that stuff. I don't go out to the bars. So,
right.
yeah.
So, I mean, it can be a very healthy outlet, right? It can keep you away from doing other destructive hobbies, as long as this doesn't become an addiction and take out other parts, take away other parts of your life, just like those other destructive hobbies would be. But like, as long as you can manage it appropriately, it can like keep you away from some of those other things that are either very expensive or take away from like time away from the family, or like don't make you a very good person, like going out to the bars and doing everything else and putting yourself in bad situations with, you know, possible DUIs, or, you know, making like a one night stupid mistake kind of a thing, where, you know, video games can, like, that's, you know, gamers, like, that's what we like to do, right? You know, the wife doesn't have to worry about where you are. She knows where you are.
I'm downstairs. Yeah. Yeah,
exactly. And so as long as you guys can, you know, you and your significant other can come to an understanding, it's great. And to finally like get some support from them is like means the world too, right? And so like once like that, like bell dings, or like, you know, they're like
light bulbs turned on.
Yeah, I get it now. Like, this is what this means to them, and they support you in it. Like, man, it feels so good. It's like, yeah, why don't you take an hour tonight and go play video games? Or when you say like, hey, you know, I'm gonna go do video games, or I'm gonna go do this podcast. You know, my wife obviously hasn't made t-shirts or been that supportive or like watches it, but like she like cuts out the time and knows that Sunday nights are like what I do, that like do the podcast and do video games, and you know, she supports me that way, that you know, it does feel really good. And like that, we got to that point that she understands that this is important to me, and she's found her own hobbies to do in her own time, that we can still have a great relationship and have these hobbies apart.
Yeah, I think, yeah, it was a push pull for me, because it took Heather time to figure out why it was important, but it also took me rewiring my brain to balance everything. Because like I said, dude, I would be like, what do you mean I can't play 6 to 8 hours of Destiny tonight? Like to me, saying that was normal. Like I would get in a fight about it.
Yeah.
And now,
like my mom would always kind of say similar things, like, you're addicted to video games, you play way too much. I was like, my friends play 3 times as much as I do. You don't even know what that means.
Yeah,
like,
you're making
my
excuses.
6 to 8 hours is nothing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're making excuses to yourself. Like, I know people who play way more than that. I got to catch up to them, or I want to stay, you know, on pace with that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but then, you know, a couple of years ago, or it would have been about 2 years ago, when I'm like, hey, I can get on at 9:30 and then get off by 12 and still get a lot of gaming in, but still not be a piece of shit the next day, and still, you know, because that was our biggest fight, is like I would wake up exhausted and then not be productive around the house. So push and pull. You got to kind of self-reflect and figure out what's going to work in your relationship. So Anyways, yeah, thank you, Heather. You're the best. Got him for the boys.
Yes.
So,
Thank you, Heather. You are awesome. And thanks for all the support because it does mean a lot.
Yeah. Now get us more followers. Tell your friends. But that's all I got. We've been going hour and 20. You got anything else you want to add before you give your catch line that is now on a t-shirt because you are famous?
I love it. I love the catchphrase.
Yeah.
Oh, the one thing I did want to mention real quick is I got COVID last week, like right at the pretty much beginning of AT. So I did like a weekend in the field and then got COVID and spent the next 5 days in isolation and then like a little bit after that. And then with my work, like since everybody was at AT, didn't do much like at work. And so I played 80 hours of Destiny in the past 2 weeks. That was my job, basically.
Oh my God, dude.
And it's not in a great space either, but they got me grinding weapons and I grinded the crap out of them.
Why? Because you're addicted and you have a problem?
Because it reminds me of that season of Black Armory where we were just going after like the one roll of blast furnace and that's all I wanted. And so they introduced weapon crafting, but to get to the weapon crafting portion, you have to unlock the frame of the weapon. And so you have to get this the weapon that you want has to come with a red border that you can, if you get kills with it, it like completes like a bounty basically. And so it attaches a bounty to the specific weapon. And you have to do that 5 times.
So you're telling me
the exact weapon that you want to unlock the frame, then you can craft it, then you can level it up and put whatever perks you want on it. And they brought Austringer back. I don't know if you remember that hand cannon.
Nah.
From the Season of the Opulence, like on the Callus's ship.
Yep.
So they brought Austringer back, and so I was like kind of hype. The crafting is great. And so all I wanted was these 5 red bordered things so I could craft the weapon and build my own Austringer. And it took me 85 hours.
So here's the deal. I was like, oh, Dan's going to release a video. I was like, oh, he'll release a video, because we talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you didn't release a video. I thought you were sick. I was like, oh, he's sick.
I was.
Let me finish.
I was the perfect amount of sick. I wasn't sick enough to be bedridden, but I was sick enough to be home from work, but playing video games. But I was snot, voice, sore throat, so it wouldn't have been like good on video.
All right, so instead of making a video, you grinded pointless weapons. And yes, they're pointless. They're pointless. You could have been playing, you could have finished Kina, Bridge of Spirits, which was on sale.
I already own it though, but now that I have Windows on the Steam Deck, you know where that's going, baby.
Yeah. That's my biggest thing with Destiny. I don't want to play it because I don't want to take away from my time from other games.
I know.
But anyways, no more Destiny talk. Goodbye.
It was just so easy. I could just turn the brain off and grind. I found out that 2 other people in my section in my new unit are massive Destiny people.
Oh, God.
And one of them has played more than me this season.
Are they subscribed to this podcast?
Not yet, but I bet you they will be pretty soon. But so let's wrap this up.
Give your catch line. You're in trouble. You need to get back to single player.
Thanks everybody subscribing. Thanks everybody listening to me playing Destiny and complaining about it at the same time. And
I'm gonna delete your characters.
You're gonna PlayStation share play and delete my characters.
Yep.
Oh man,
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I know. I was so happy I took a break from Destiny, and I was like, I think I finally stopped playing.
You were doing good, dude.
Kicked this addiction,
yep.
And I've started playing other games, and life is great. And then like COVID hit, and like I don't know, it just like
the new season started, picked it back up, and just that's all I did. I just did one activity for like 8 hours a day, and it was mind numbing and terrible. But I did it. I don't know why, but I kept doing it. It was just like Black Armor. You're just like, I just need this one thing.
Dude, I got so sick. Like legitimately sick because I was staying up drinking energy drinks trying to get whatever that pulse rifle was. I was trying to
Blast
get the perfect
furnace.
blast furnace perfect roll. And I was literally I had to go like lay down because I was so sick from just grinding it. But anyways, tell the people what they want to hear.
I said thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the 40 subscribers, and stay nerdy.